Hello everyone, this is JonahTGP. Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the different speed of different types of storage devices. So as you can see here, I have a benchmarking tool to tell me the read and write speed of an SSD. And the first thing we'll be testing is a SATA SSD, so let's see just how quick it can work. Alright, so I ran that test, and as you can see, for read we get about half a gigabyte a second of read, a little bit less than half a gig a second of write, and that's about in line with what you would expect with the SATA SSD. They're not nearly as fast as like an NVMe, but typically they're cheaper for it. But anyways, let's go ahead and test out one of my NVMe SSDs and see how much faster that is. So now we'll go ahead and run the test. Alright, so there's that done, and as you can see, in some cases, it's almost 6 times faster. So that is substantially faster. So if an SSD or an NVMe SSD is your boot device, you could expect quicker boot times to get to the home screen and faster loading times in games. But now I want to show you guys something else. So if I open up this software here, this will allow me to allocate some of my system memory and have it be used as a storage device. So I simply decide how many gigs of my RAM I want to use as that device. Let's say 38? Or maybe 36. Anyways, so now, go ahead, I'll just call this the H drive. It's NTFS, and I'll use dynamic, and I believe what that does is if that disk that I have pretended to make isn't being filled all the way, then my computer can still use what's there as system memory until it's needed for the disk. So let's go ahead and run this test and see how much faster the RAM disk is. Oh, that is fast. That is... For read, the fastest we got was like 47 gigabytes a second. For write, 25 gigabytes a second. That is fast. That is faster than... I don't know what you'd even use it for. I'm kind of at a loss for words. That is fast. Wow. Well, alright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch Fallout 4 from the home screen and see how long it takes to get to the main menu. The first drive that we're testing is the SATA. So let's go ahead and let that load. Well, that wasn't the fastest loading I've ever seen. Oh. Come on. There it goes. Alright, there. We finally made it to the main menu. So now the second part of this test that I want to do is see how long it takes to go from the main menu to load into a game. So I'm going to go ahead and launch in, and we're going to see how long this loading screen takes us. Now, since this is a SATA, I am expecting this to be a lot slower than an NVMe, and of course the RAM disk. But it is an interesting thing, like how much faster will the other two be than this? Oh. Hey, there we go. Took 28.11 seconds. That's not that bad. And as you can see, we're in Fallout 4 and it's running fairly smoothly. So you can play it on a SATA. Alright, so now I have put Fallout 4 on an NVMe and we're going to do the same test. We'll see if it wants to load here. Oh, there we go. Oh, that seemed like it was a fair bit quicker than before. Yeah, there we go. Now we're on the main menu. Alright. So now let's go ahead and load into the game, see how long that takes. You know, the fact that it hasn't popped up like that 3D object that you can kind of spin around and interact with on the loading screen kind of makes me think that this is going to take longer. But it shouldn't. I mean, this is an NVMe. This should be substantially faster. Oh, there it is, finally. Alright, the NVMe took 35.65 seconds.
What? What the f?
But anyways, it's running. Alright, so now we're going to test it out with the RAM disk. So let's go ahead and try to get to the main menu from the home screen here. Whoa. Whoa, that was fast. That was almost instantaneous. Wow. I mean, I knew it'd be fast, but that's impressive. And wow, okay, we already have the 3D object there. It's what? We're already in game. That took 8.96 seconds. That is fast. And I am playing Fallout 4 right now with just my system memory. It's not even on an SSD. That's not something I thought I'd ever do. But of course, running a game on your system memory is not the intended use case for a RAM disk. A better use case for that is if, for example, you are editing a video, like I'm doing right here. If you're using the cache for your editor on a RAM disk, you're going to be able to scrub through your timeline a whole lot faster than you would be able to if it was on like a SATA SSD, for example. But anyways, I hope you found that interesting and entertaining. If you didn't, that's alright, but if you did, I ask that you like, comment, and subscribe.